A guy named Trip is on a date with another girl who dreams of marrying a man with whom she will happily spend her entire life. The couple wanted to continue their pleasant evening and came to Trip's house. Melissa was impressed when she saw the huge, luxurious house. However, the couple was interrupted by Trip's father, who was awakened by the music. Of course, it was an unpleasant surprise for Melissa to learn that Trip, at the age of 30, still lives with his parents. Al and Sue listened from the bedroom as yet another girl left their son with a scandal. They hoped that at least this would motivate him to live independently. However, Trip is quite comfortable living with his parents and doesn't see any problems with it. Besides, the mother washes his clothes and cooks for him. During the day, Trip attended yoga with his friends Ace and Demo. They asked how his date went yesterday. Trip admitted that Melissa rejected him, but Trip didn't seem upset about it. He has no intention of changing anything because living with his parents is more convenient for him. However, the parents are apparently not satisfied with this. The spouses complained about the son to their friends. Al believes that Trip is afraid of independence. The friends of the couple are convinced that if Trip meets a girl he truly loves, it will motivate him. Later, the family went to a furniture store to choose a new chair for their home. At some point, Trip noticed a cute girl and approached her. It turns out she comes here regularly to relax. The salespeople don't mind because Paula treats them to coffee. Without wasting time, Trip asked her out on a date. They agreed to meet on Monday, after the weekend. Paula lives with her friend Kit. It turns out Paula is a psychologist hired by Trip's parents. She promised them that their son would move out by mid-June. That's exactly what Al wanted to hear. In Paula's opinion, adults don't leave their parents' home due to low self-esteem. So Paula's task is to boost his self-esteem through romantic relationships. The parents in turn should make their son's life as difficult as possible to expedite his moving out. On the weekend, Trip played video games with his friends and nephew. They were interrupted by Trip's mother, who instructed him to go to the store, do the laundry and clean the toilet. Trip, along with his friends, was shocked by such tasks. On Monday, Trip met Paula, who seemed like the perfect girl for him. They had lunch on a yacht. At first, Trip set everything up as if it was his yacht, but it turned out he was just a salesman. The yacht owner was outraged when he saw the couple dining on his boat. However, Paula quickly took control of the situation and pretended to be an interested buyer. Thanking the owner and the salesperson for the presentation, Paula left. Trip caught up with Paula, impressed by her resourcefulness. When he suggested meeting again, she gladly agreed. Later, Trip shared with his friends that he met an amazing girl, but Ace and Demo are convinced that this girl will leave him as soon as she finds out he still lives with his parents. However, Trip has no doubt that he has won the girl's heart. During a forest bike ride, a hungry chipmunk clung to Trip's hand. Trip panicked and screamed throughout the forest. The situation was very ridiculous. Later, Trip came to Paula's house. Kit opened the door. She seemed much gloomier and straightforward than her neighbor. Paula came out to meet Trip in a stunning evening dress. They were going to have dinner together. Paula laughed at all of Trip's jokes and behaved deliberately sweet. The couple arrived at a Japanese restaurant. Due to his bandaged hand, Trip couldn't handle the chopsticks. Paula found it amusing. When asked about her profession, Paula replied that she teaches children with developmental delays. Trip walked Paula home and wanted to kiss her, but they were interrupted by Kit, who was trying to chase away a bothersome bird. The next day at work, Trip was giving a boat presentation to potential clients. Suddenly he received a call from Paula, who was crying and asking him to come over right away. Trip arrived at the veterinary clinic. Paula tearfully told him that her beloved dog was very ill. The dog had allegedly always been Paula's best friend and had once even saved her life. Trip hugged crying Paula, unsure of how to comfort her. At some point, she said that she wanted to be alone with her pet in its final moments. Trip left the room. In reality, the dog wasn't Paula's. Furthermore, the pet wasn't seriously ill. The veterinarian was actually an old acquaintance of Paula's who agreed to play along. To distract Paula from her sorrow, Trip invited her to spend time together and introduced her to his friends. Paula said how grateful she was for his support. The company was having a lot of fun. However, at one point, some of the guys noticed Kit nearby. There was definitely something appealing about this girl. Ace tried to strike up a conversation with Kit, but she clearly wasn't in the mood for socializing. When the game ended, Trip's friends told him that Paula was a great girl. At the same time, Kit asked Paula about Trip's friends, as she was considering which one of the guys to choose. Paula is a very astute psychologist, so she quickly gained the trust of Trip and his friends. From then on, they saw each other every day. Trip arranged a yacht outing for his girlfriend. Of course, the yacht was someone else's. Later, they had lunch and chatted. No matter what Trip said, Paula always supported him and appeared genuinely interested. It was the first time Tripp had felt such understanding from someone. They kissed. At home, Kit asked Paula about how the date went. Kit is convinced that Paula doesn't see Tripp as just a patient. It seems that she has fallen for him. Paula assured Kit that she simply wants to help Tripp figure out his life. However, she doesn't deny finding Tripp charming. She is confident that he will move out from his parents' house soon. Paula has no idea that Tripp has entirely different plans. He told his friends that he plans to break up with Paula because he's getting bored. That's why Tripp plans to bring her home. He believes this will definitely scare Paula away. Suddenly Tripp was bitten and pulled into the water by a harmless dolphin. This happens to him all the time. Finally, Tripp brought Paula home and introduced her to his parents. They and Paula acted out this play with one goal in mind, to force Paula to move out of the house. However, Tripp didn't expect that Paula wouldn't be scared and would want to stay for dinner. He had expected a completely different reaction. Al left the house under the pretext of mowing the lawn. Tripp said he was supposedly going to help his father and also left. Sue directly told Paula that she was not happy with her work. Tripp only brings a girl home in one case, when he plans to break up with her. Paula has no intention of giving up, so she stayed with Tripp at night and was very persistent. In the morning, Paula tried to leave quietly but knocked over a vase. Naturally, this woke up Tripp's parents, who were so shocked by the turn of events that they were speechless. Paula hurried to leave. Meanwhile, Kit went to a gun store. She was so fed up with the nuisance of the bothersome bird near her house that she intended to resolve the issue decisively. However, the salesman found her behavior strange and refused to sell her a gun. Kit was joined by Paula, who couldn't stop talking about Tripp. Kit realized that things had gone too far, but Paula reassured her that she had everything under control. As for Tripp, the previous night left him bewildered. He doesn't understand what to do now. Before, all the girls would run away when they found out he was living with his parents at the age of 30. Of course, Tripp is not the only patient Paula regularly meets with. Using psychological manipulation, she makes men fall in love with her and move away from their parents. Ace witnessed one of these encounters. He listened and watched as Paula told this guy how wonderful and smart he was. The guy got so nervous that he wanted to go to the restroom. When he left, Ace sat down at Paula's table and demanded an explanation. Paula said that guy was just an acquaintance, but Ace didn't believe her, of course. Now he's in an awkward position. Paula directly asked the guy what he wanted. Ace is willing to keep quiet if Paula persuades Kit to go on a date with him. However, Kit absolutely does not want to go on a date with Ace, who, like Tripp, still lives with his parents. Paula tried to convince Kit for a long time, so eventually she agreed. Ace took her to the aquarium. Now he knows that Paula is a psychologist. Kit explained that Paula fell in love with a guy in the past who didn't want to move away from his parents. So she decided that if she couldn't change him, she would change others. Kit also shared that the chirping of the bird keeps her awake. That's why she's always irritated. Ace hinted that he has a shotgun. While Tripp, his nephew Jeffrey and Paula were having a good time, Kit and Ace were in ambush, waiting for the bird to arrive. Kit said it comes every night. At one point they kissed in a burst of emotion, but were interrupted by the chirping of the bird. Kit shot, but immediately realized it was a mistake. In panic, Ace and Kit brought the injured bird into the house, trying to save it. Fortunately, the bird was unharmed. After biting Ace on the nose, it wreaked havoc in the house. This incident brought Kit and Ace even closer. Meanwhile, when Tripp and his nephew went for ice cream, Demo hinted to Paula that he knows who she really is and what she does. However, Demo isn't about to rat Paula out because he genuinely wants to help his best friend. Demo revealed that Jeffrey is not Tripp's nephew but the son of his fiancée, who passed away 6 years ago. Tripp still hasn't come to terms with the loss. Upon learning this, Paula felt guilty. She had been such a selfish person that she didn't even try to understand the root of Tripp's problem. Now Paula intends to break the contract with his parents. When Ace emerged from the bathroom, Paula immediately guessed that her friend had a good time. Paula was genuinely happy for Kit. Kit, for her part, couldn't understand why Paula was making everything so complicated. If she truly loves Tripp, she should tell him. In the meantime, Demo confessed to Tripp that he had told Paula about Emmy. Demo did it because he knew Tripp would never do it himself. But that's not all Demo wanted to say. He intended to put an end to the lies and revealed that Paula is a professional manipulator hired by Tripp's parents to get him to move out. At first, Tripp didn't believe, but it quickly became evident that Demo was not joking. According to Demo, Paula's feelings are genuine. Only the truth will help Tripp move forward. In the evening, Tripp cooked dinner, shocking his parents. Soon the doorbell rang, and Paula stood at the door. Trip looked energetic and served a magnificent dinner, raising a toast to his loved ones who had always supported him. Al and Sue couldn't believe that their son might be ready to become independent. Suddenly Trip said he had an important announcement and turned to Paula. Trip claimed that the time he spent with her was the happiest in his life and offered to live together. Of course Paula didn't expect to hear this. Trip's parents expressed how proud they were of him. They had given up hope that this day would ever come. However, they rejoiced early. It turned out that Trip didn't want to live separately from his parents. He wanted Paula to move in with them. Everyone was confused by what they had just heard. Before things could go too far, Trip made it clear to everyone at the table that he knew the truth. The parents, like Paula, were too ashamed. No one knew what to say to justify it. As the parents had wished, Trip left. Paula caught up with him and got into his car, wanting to explain herself. However, Trip didn't want to hear anything and chased her away. Trip fell into depression. Jeffrey was the only one who had never lied to him. Paula's state wasn't any better. Not knowing what to do, she went to Al and Sue to return their money. Paula assured that she had never allowed such unprofessionalism before, but she had developed genuine feelings for Trip. However, now he wasn't answering her calls and probably hated her. To distract the friend, Demo and Ace invited him to go rock climbing together. Ace, who was holding the rope, was constantly distracted by food. At that moment, Trip was bitten by a lizard that inhabited one of the small mountain caves. Trip fell off the rock. Kit worries about her friend, who hardly sleeps and eats. Paula has stated that she intends to return to Colorado. Kit said that running away from the problem is not a solution. Also in her opinion, Paula herself is to blame for everything, because she earned a living through deception. Paula in turn told Kit that she didn't need her advice. There was a falling out between friends. When Trip regained consciousness, he saw the worried faces of his friends. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured. Ace and Demo believe that nature rejects Trip because he is living wrong and not in harmony with his true self. It's only now that Trip and Demo learn that Ace actually doesn't live with his parents, it's his parents who live with him. He's the one who owns that house. Demo on the other hand frequently travels and still hasn't decided what he wants to become or where to live. Ace and Demo are both happy in their own ways, which can't be said for Trip. Summoning the determination, Trip came to the parents' house. No one greeted him. Hearing music from his room, Trip entered and realized that his parents, left alone, were living for their own pleasure. Al genuinely feels sorry about how everything turned out. He and his wife had wanted what was best, which is why they consulted a psychologist. Primarily, they were thinking about their son's well-being. Trip realizes this and is no longer angry with the parents. Now Trip wants to pack his things and finally start living on his own. This is a very difficult step for everyone. Sue confessed to her son that she feels anxious staying in the house with his father. They have never lived alone together, and now that moment is coming. Sue is afraid of disappointing her husband, but the son encouraged her. He knows that his parents love each other very much and will be happy together. The mother and son hugged, forgiving each other for everything. Later, Sue gathered her husband, Trip's friends, Jeffrey and Kit, to come up with a plan to reconcile Trip and Paula. Paula is about to leave, but she doesn't want the friend to have bad memories of her because they never reconciled. The friends asked each other for forgiveness. Kit even offered to drive her friend to the airport, but on the way, they needed to stop at Ace's house. Kit allegedly forgot her sweater there. However, as soon as Paula entered the house, Kit and the others locked her inside, sticking a note on the window that told her to look in the closet. Not understanding anything, Paula did so, finding Trip tied up inside. Meanwhile, their friends were watching them through a surveillance camera. They hoped that in the confined space, Trip and Paula would have no choice but to reconcile. However, Trip wasn't in the mood for talking. Paula sincerely asked him for forgiveness. She really didn't want to hurt him. Trip sarcastically asked her how many patients like him she had. Paula only said that she wanted to help him. However, Trip could no longer trust her. At that moment, Paula, unable to hold back, confessed her love to him. Her feelings had never been fake. Both Trip and Paula were unhappy, but perhaps they could heal each other. When the lovers kissed, they had no idea they were being watched by the entire cafe, as well as Trip's parents and Jeffrey. After some time, Trip and Paula went on another yacht ride to celebrate their reunion. At one point, Trip accidentally fell into the water and saw a dolphin approaching, but this time the animal behaved friendly. Trip seems to be doing the right thing in his life now.